As we've heard, the government had a win today with its laws to shake up the Murray-Darling Basin Plan passing through the Senate. Nationals leader David Littleproud became emotional during a fiery statement in the House on this issue earlier.
This is the lowest moment for those communities up and down the basin. And to sit here and to not even show respect, but contempt for them, their future, their livelihoods, without even doing modelling, without even going out to these communities and having the courage of your conviction to eyeball them. We're upset because we live in these communities. We know the people. We know them by name. These are their livelihoods that just been ripped up.
Well, the Nationals leader David Littleproud joins me now. Look, you blew up, basically. Why are you so furious about what's occurred here? Tanya Plibersek saying it's a win.
Well, it's not. It's actually tearing up the very Basin Plan that they put in place in 2012. The Basin Plan would be complete if they had continued on the pathway of building infrastructure rather than undertaking buybacks. Infrastructure returning to the environment is better than buybacks, because when you take buybacks, you take that away from farmers, you take that away from agricultural production, you take that jobs away as well in regional communities. Not farmers are going to hurt from this. It'll actually be the communities left behind. There was an additional 450 gigalitres of water that Tony Burke in 2012 added to this. But he had the sense to put a social and economic neutrality test to make sure that that additional water had safeguards for the community. What Labor's done today, and the Greens and the crossbench in the Senate, has torn that up. That's safeguard for those regional communities. There will be businesses, there will be people who will lose their jobs out of this, but you'll also pay for this because you're taking away the very tools we need to produce your food and fibre, which means supply goes down, prices go up.
Well, I've actually got Tony Burke on in a minute. You'll see he's just outside there. You were talking about you made some deal with him at some time. Was that when he was opposition spokesman?
When I was Water Minister, and Tony Burke was the architect of that. And I've got to say, I paid credit to Tony Burke in the Parliament when I put through the Northern Basin Review and, more importantly, the Sustainable Diversion Limits, which meant for the first time in the whole Murray-Darling saga, we were able to use infrastructure rather than buybacks to deliver water to the environment, which protected the communities. But I paid tribute to Tony as well about the fact when he added the additional 450 gigalitres, which is about the size of Sydney Harbour, he had the sense to protect those communities with the safety net of that social and economic neutrality. All they've done now is rip that away, and instead of using infrastructure, they've now given more prominence to buybacks, and that means our community is going to die. So I've seen the human toll of this. I've seen this in St George and Dirranbandi and Gundawindi and Roma and in Warwick and Dalby, where we've had this stripped away from us. We were delivering this plan in a bipartisan way, and what this government has done has ripped that up for political expedience. Political expedience because it's a complex plan, but we're going to foot the bill. But you'll all foot that because you're going to produce less and you're going to pay more at the checkout. And this is just pure insanity where we were delivering the plan. It was going to be completed, albeit for the infrastructure to be built with an extra couple of years. All
right, what do you make of the government's approach on Peter Dutton at the moment? They're calling him a pedophile protector.
Well, it's appalling. And, you know, Prime Minister only just in the Parliament called for some more kindness and about the issues that we're having in this country around Israel and Palestine and the issues on the streets of our capital cities. And he said that on the night that he was elected. That's beyond reproach to be saying those types of things about Peter Dutton, who has spent his whole professional career protecting children, protecting women from domestic violence. That's abhorrent. And, you know, I just think we should be better than this. And for Labor to stoop to this is an act of desperation. It's a little sad, to be honest, and it's a diversion from the real issues of the fact that they've failed to protect Australians. They've failed to be preemptive in putting in place legislation when they knew in June this year, when Justice Gleeson said that he had issues. He foreshadowed this. Any competent government would have acted swiftly and had legislation prepared so that the very next day we could come to this place and we could adjust the legislation to protect Australians. And now we've lost one of these people that have got out. We don't know where they are. We don't know the extent of
I think they have found them again.
Well, they have. Well, that's good. Well, that's, I mean, but to have lost somebody, and the fact is that most of these people wouldn't have had tracing devices on them had we not moved the amendments to actually have that as part of the legislation that they brought in that was just a dog's breakfast.
David Littleproud, thanks for your time this afternoon.
Thanks for having me, mate.